Let's chat about greenside pitching and what you need to do in different lies. So I've got 3 different lies here. I've got a ball that's sitting way down, I've got a ball that's sitting up on the rough, and then I've obviously got one that's sitting down on this nice cut fairway, and we've got this pin here. We've got a little bit of green to work with. The pin's probably about 50 feet from me. So expectation management's really important here. When there's lots of grass around the ball, we're going to have a reduced friction coefficient. That's fancy for the ball's not going to spin as much. This ball here is sitting up. I have a chance to actually get the club under the ball with a certain technique, and I can probably produce some spin. And then down here, when the grass is nice and tight, I can produce probably my maximum amount of spin because there's way more spin coefficient because there's less debris between the ball and the face. So the technique's going to differ, and to be really accomplished with the short game, you need to understand different lies yield different shots, and you need to be able to understand how to do that. I've got my 60-degree wedge. Now you can change up, you can use different clubs, but when I'm in this rough, I want some angle to get down to the ball. And obviously when I use angle, I deal off the club. So I'm using my 60, but when I angle it down and get steep on it to get it out and it's gonna trundle, I'm obviously using a club with more loft because it's effectively got less loft when I hit it. So this lie is gonna be different to this lie to this lie. So we're going to start with this ball here that is sitting down. So I'm going to try and get this ball on the green and it's going to run a long way. I'm intentionally going to have some angle. So I'm going to lean left, head left, so my low point's forwards, and I'm going to try and use some shaft lean because I want to be able to hit down and get kind of steep on this and have this ball pop out and run out with some spin. I'm here very fortunate because I have some green to work with. So what I'm going to try and do is utilize the ability to make it run. Couple of things there to make sure the ball runs is the ball's back a little bit, the shaft's forwards, and then I'm going to have a very minimal follow through, which is going to produce a little more of that top spin, and then the ball's going to trundle out. You can experiment with a 54 or a 55, 56 degree wedge versus the 60. It's just personal preference. Great wedge players around the green tend to prefer one club just because they're familiar with it. So I'm gonna use the 60 just because I'm gonna be quite steep. I wanted to get it out and I want it to run. And remember, 8 feet and in is a pretty good shot. Best players in the world make about 50% of their putts from 8 feet. So I'm just trying to give myself a chance to make a putt for either birdie or par. I don't want to leave it in here. So I'm obviously going to be aggressive. This ball's going to come out and it's going to run. So my sort of expectation is somewhere to the 8 feet and in would be a great shot. If I happen to hit it up there really, really close, that's wonderful. But obviously I'm just trying to make sure I get this ball out and it runs. So I'm going to lean left, I've got the ball down, and I'm trying to use a little bit of hinge, and I'm gonna have a shorter follow through, and then this ball's gonna come out and it's gonna run towards the flag. So we're gonna get left, ball's back. I'm gonna use some wrist action here, getting steep, and I'll restrict that follow through. So now that ball's come out and you can see it's trundling towards the flag. I've got a probably uphill 10-footer. I could probably have hit that a little bit harder, but the ball came out. I have an uphill putt and I'm putting for either a birdie or a par. And so I've got the ball in a position to score. Now, when it comes to this lie here where the ball is actually sitting up, there's a specific shot you can play, which is a little different because if I try and go down on this ball, I might struggle with the contact and where I'm hitting it on the face. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get my towel here and I'm gonna wipe off the face. Now, one thing I can do here is I could defer down to my sand wedge because I'm going to hit a shot with a lot of loft. I'm actually intentionally, if I turn to the camera, going to hit more of a sort of a high drawy shot, kind of a figure 8 shot, because what that's going to do is allow this ball to come out. It's sitting up, I'll be able to get underneath it and it'll land and it'll drop pretty soft. Different to when the ball is sitting down. Remember, the lies determine what you can do. Every lie is different. I need to know what I can do from this lie. I need to be careful. If I stood here, I might go right underneath it. If I use a 60-degree wedge, I could have too much loft and I would have a really bad outcome. So I'm actually going to defer to my 55, 54. We'll just sit this here for a minute. And I'm going to set up where I'm leaning the shaft back a little bit, okay? And I'm going to try and hit more of a sort of shallow draw here. And I'm going to pick that ball off the top. I can carry a little bit further and this ball should drop and stop pretty quickly. It's a really cool little shot because the ball is sitting up on the top and I don't want to go underneath it. So again, leaning a little bit left, put the shaft back. I'm just trying to hit kind of a little figure 8 draw, so here we go. And this ball may come out with a little bit of hook spin, so I'm going to aim fractionally to the right. And so that ball came out, flew a little bit further, but obviously I've got great contact. I've got the ability to get the ball towards the hole, and I didn't go underneath it. Again, I'm all about trying to give myself one of those 8-footers or in for that birdie or that par. Now, let's get to the fun one. So everyone wants to kind of spin the ball, but when we get to these shots here off the fairway, we want to try and do what's necessary to produce spin. So lower launch, produce higher spin. We want to try and make sure we hit the ball first. And so we're trying to intentionally live in the bottom 4 grooves here, real clean contact. And in order to do that, I need to make sure my body isn't encroaching and going downwards. And the best wedge players in the pitching department, they tend to look like they're extending up, lots of body rotation, and they're kind of working upwards, almost the opposite of what you'd want in your full swing. They're almost losing their posture, which allows them to keep that very shallow delivery, but also then deliver the loft down so they get high spin with a lower launch. So ball position, I'm going to be sort of just a little bit back of center. I'm also going to get a little closer to the ball. One thing you can do here is get closer so the club steepens and now the heel is off the ground. We get a little heel relief. That's going to help us maximize our contact too. So I'm going to have a little closer hands here, and then from here, I'm just back and through, but I'm trying to make sure my head, again, goes a little more forwards, and then I'm going up and around. I want no backing up. I need to keep the low point forward so I can get the ball first. So again, little left, up and around. I'm actually going to flare this foot so it allows me to get around the corner. And a way to practice this, I want to have very minimal contact, as you can see here. If anything, I'd rather be fractionally thin on this shot than I ever would heavy, because I'm going to get more spin. So obviously making sure the grooves are clean. A little closer, I'm up on it, weight's a little left, I'm going to shift left to start, just a fraction, and then I'm up and around, and the club should kind of stay on my body, very much driven by my body, not so much throwing my hands. So here we go. Let's give it a whirl. So there, nice contact, and I've actually skipped it and it had a little bit of spin. But that coming out lower, more zip. Obviously you can see very minimal contact here, and I've kind of hit it back in here in the bottom 4 grooves. That's what you're looking for to get that spin, but that's controlled with my body angles, making sure that I'm extending up and around, and the arms are very passive here. My body is driving it. Just making sure my head is a little forwards, head shifts forwards, and then I work up and around. That's going to allow you to produce that low spinning zipper wedge.